Hello. So in this video, I'm gonna do a overview of the Air Arcade game mode. I'm gonna go through each type of mission, outline the different ways to win each type of mission, and provide other information that's critical to winning Air Arcade matches. Okay, so first mission type, ground strike. There are three main ways you can win a ground strike match. First one is to destroy the enemy airfield. Now, in order to accomplish that, you'd first have to destroy the enemy bases, which are these strategic targets that have this giant bullseye over them. There are usually four. You have to destroy all of them. Once you've destroyed all of them, then there will be a marker that will appear over the enemy airfield indicating that you are now allowed to attack it. If you try bombing the enemy airfield before you destroy the four bases, you're not going to do any damage to it. The next way to win is by eliminating all players. Now, I'm in a custom match right now with just bots. It's an empty game for the most part, just to demonstrate. So if these bots here were enemy players, you'd have to shoot them all down, shoot them down after they respawn, depending on how many planes they have in their lineup. And if you achieve that, then win the game. Now, the third way to win, this is usually the way that you're going to be winning most of your games, is bleeding the tickets in the match. So if you press tab, and if you look up here, there's this number here called tickets. Now, most people get confused over tickets and points. So the difference is points is this number here, the score number, and you'll get points for shooting down enemy aircraft or destroying ground targets or pretty much just existing in the game. It'll give you points. But we're not interested in points. We're interested in tickets, because tickets is what wins and loses games. Now, it's also represented up here in this bar, in the blue and red bar here. It's the same, it's just a visual representation. So in order to bleed tickets, you'd have to eliminate targets which are worth tickets, okay? So the big one is ground units. So down here, you have artillery, you have pillboxes, you have tanks, that kind of stuff. These targets contribute 100 tickets to the enemy ticket pool, okay? So if you destroy one, you take off 100 tickets. The next major contributor to tickets are these aircraft here, which are AI ground attack aircraft. They appear towards the sides at the start of the match. They too are worth 100 tickets. Now, the thing about these AI attack aircraft is that they will attempt to destroy the ground units that are in the game. So by taking them out early, you prevent them from bleeding tickets faster. Bases also contribute to tickets. So if you destroy a base, they give you about approximately 350 tickets to the enemy ticket pool. You take off 350. If you destroy all the bases and you unlock the enemy airfield for attack, that also gives you a bonus of about 490 tickets. That's something to keep in mind. Recently, with the, I think about 2-3 major updates ago, killing enemy players, the enemy aircraft that are player controlled, they also bleed tickets now. They bleed about 20 tickets each. So those are the main ways of bleeding tickets and winning a ground strike air arcade match. Okay, so next mission type, Frontline. So there are 4 ways of winning a Frontline mission. One is destroy the enemy airfield. It's the same as ground strike. You first have to destroy the bases, and then you'll be able to unlock the enemy airfield for attack. The second way is to eliminate all enemy players. The third way, this is different to ground strike, is destroying the front line, which is basically all the ground targets that are lined up there are, if I just dive down here a little bit, I'll be able to spot the enemy front line. So yeah, there'll be two big rows of targets. There'll be your friendly targets, the front line, and the enemy. So you'd have to destroy all the enemy targets that are part of the front line. You'll be able to win the game that way. And the fourth way to win is bleeding tickets, which is in a frontline match kind of rare. It's not unheard of, but it is possible. But most of the time, you will win by destroying the enemy frontline. So the way this works, and it's the same with ground strike as well with regards to bombing the enemy airfield. If you destroy the enemy airfield, you don't automatically win the game. What happens is that it will start to bleed the enemy tickets down to 0. With frontline, once you destroy the entire enemy frontline, it has the same effect as destroying an enemy airfield. You start bleeding the enemy tickets down to 0. You don't automatically win the game. So there's like a short time period, depending on how many tickets are left, that the game has to start bleeding away, and then you win. Okay, so just a quick extra note about ground strike and frontline matches. If you want to figure out which targets count and which don't, you can have a look at which of the markers are blinking. So I have the default colors here, so they're red, and you can see that the ones that count are blinking yellow. If you take a look at the machine guns, yeah, like that one right there that just popped up. The machine guns, and this is the only exception, this map here, Frontline Canyon, Africa. I got hit again. Yeah, on this map, the machine guns don't count towards the destruction of the front line. You just need to take out the artillery, the AAA, and the 2 tank columns which are at the back of the map. You take those out and you win this map front line. In low tier ground strike matches, now for the most part, all of the other maps have been updated. But if you play at BR 2.0 or below, you may encounter groups of mobile AAA which don't count, and you can identify them by the blinking markers again. If they don't blink, then they don't count. So those are the 2 extra bits of information that are important to know. You don't want to go around bombing targets which aren't contributing to winning. You'll end up wasting time, and you may give the enemy an opportunity to win and beat you. Next mission type, air domination. So technically there are 3 ways to win this, but in reality there are only really 2. The first one is to eliminate all enemy players. The second way is to bleed tickets, and the third is to capture the point. So the most common way is bleeding tickets. So unlike in ground strike or frontline matches, killing an enemy player controlled aircraft will bleed 50 tickets, not 20, 50. If you manage to destroy all the enemy aircraft that are in the zone, and the zone is basically a round cylinder around the A, the A point here. There's usually only just one point in an air domination match, just one cylinder. You can see the area in the top right corner on your mini-map. It's the shaded out area. That's the capture zone. You contributed to capturing the zone if you're flying within that zone. If you manage to take out all the enemy aircraft within the zone, and it's only you or friendly aircraft in the zone, you then start capturing the point. If there's even one enemy aircraft in the zone, they will prevent you from capturing it. So when I said at the start that there are really only 2 ways of winning, by the time you eliminate all the enemy aircraft, you've basically captured the zone, because the spawn points are outside of the capture zone. It takes time to fly into the zone. So yeah, by capturing the point, you don't automatically win. So it's the same as destroying the enemy airfield or destroying a front line. When you capture the zone, start to bleed tickets. So there is a time delay depending on how many tickets are left on the enemy team. Now, important information about air domination is the capture zone. Oh, okay, I started capturing here because we've eliminated all the enemy aircraft. Well, not really, so let me explain why. The capture point is a large cylinder. It's not a sphere, okay? It's a large cylinder. You can see the perimeter and the shaded outline in the top right corner of the minimap. The height of the cylinder, now the height differs depending on which map you're playing, but the general rule of thumb is that it's 4,000 meters. So for example, in this map here, Britain, the cylinder starts at 770 meters, and then it goes up to 4,770 meters. The starting height is what differs for the maps. For example, on Curse, it starts at 740 meters, and on Malta, it starts at 750. But the one same variable is that it only extends 4,000 meters up from where it starts, and then it stops. So if you're flying very low, like these bots and I are now, we're not capturing the zone anymore. We have to fly to above 770 meters, then we start capturing. And if I or any other aircraft are flying above the ceiling height, which on this map is 4,770, you also don't contribute to capturing the zone. Next mission type, Airfield Domination. So there are two main ways to win this type of mission. One, eliminate all enemy players, or two, bleed tickets. So the way you want to approach this one in terms of bleeding tickets is not to destroy enemy ground units or to try to kill enemy players, but is to capture airfields. Now, if you have a captured airfield, it will start to bleed the enemy ticket pool. And the more airfields that you have, the more tickets that get bled. I believe it's every 2-3 seconds, something like that. I'm not quite sure what the math is on it, but the more the better, basically. This also counts if the airfield is neutral. So let's say that you have one airfield captured and the other one is neutral, like it is now. Nobody has it. You're still going to be bleeding the enemy, and the enemy won't be taking away your tickets. Ground units, they play a role. So you take a look over at this airfield, and it's the same on the other side. You have friendly ground units, and you have enemy ground units, and they're both trying to approach the airfield. Now, once they approach the airfield, whichever side has more ground units, the ground units themselves start capturing the airfield. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to land to capture it. You can support the ground units to capture it. That also works. But the more efficient way to go about doing this is to actually go in, land, and capture it, because it takes time for the ground units to approach the airfield. And more often than not, the ground units do get taken out. They are tempting targets for people, and they are worth points. They are also worth tickets, so that is something to keep in mind. I didn't test out how many tickets they are worth. I believe that they are also worth around 100 tickets. There might be less than that. I believe player air kills, they are slightly higher than what they are in ground strike or frontline matches. I think they're worth about 40 tickets instead of 20. I'm not too sure. But yeah, capture the airfields, hold the airfields, lead the tickets, win the game. So that wraps it up for this video. Some things to keep in mind is there are a lot of map-dependent variables and mode-dependent variables, all right? So as you've seen after I've described, the ticket amounts for how much value different targets are to bleeding enemy ticket counters, They depend according to the mission type. Map-dependent variables such as the zone height for the capture zone or how many airfields there are in an airfield domination match, they're all different depending on which maps you get. Keep in mind that these things are most likely bound to change. I've been playing this game for years and they've changed quite a lot. You've heard me talking about the different types of ground units and how they were before 2, 3 major updates ago. Uh, Most likely in the future, as Gaijin updates the game, they're going to be changing these variables around. So that's something to keep in mind. But the more thing you just have to know is that the general mechanics, the fundamental mechanics of how these game modes works, they usually stay the same. They may change the amount of tickets that each different target is worth. They may change how many airfields there are. They may change the zone height. It doesn't matter. So long as you know the fundamentals of what it takes to win each of the different mission types. That's all you need to know. Thanks for watching.